Welcome to this explainer. Let's just jump right into it. Today, we're tackling one of the single biggest headaches in enterprise AI right now, and that's the massive, glaring gap between what engineering teams are building and what the boardroom actually understands. Look, if you're a leader trying to justify your AI spend, you already know that throwing technical metrics at the executive team just doesn't cut it. So we're going to build a strategic, boardroom-ready guide to help you stop talking about technical token metrics and start talking about actual, undeniable business value. Here's our roadmap for today. We'll start with the AI boardroom disconnect, move into why tokens are just electricity, then we'll be climbing the maturity ladder, looking at good put and the true cost, and finally, we'll wrap up with the translation imperative. All right, part one, the AI boardroom disconnect. So here is the harsh reality we're all dealing with. CFOs and executives are getting incredibly frustrated by these opaque, skyrocketing AI bills. And honestly, you can't blame them. Nobody at the top of the food chain gives a single thought to tokens. They care about ROI. They care about margins. When technical teams roll in with dashboards packed full of token counts and inference speeds, it just creates this massive disconnect. We desperately need a complete paradigm shift in how we measure AI value so we can finally bridge that gap between the engineering floor and the executive suite. Which brings us to part two. Tokens are just electricity. We really need to ground this super abstract concept of an AI token into something universally understood in the business world. So think about a traditional manufacturing plant. A factory doesn't measure its success by obsessing over the cost per kilowatt hour of electricity it uses, right? Electricity is just a raw input. What the factory actually manages and what the business actually cares about is the cost per widget produced. Well, in the intelligence age, tokens are quite literally just your electricity. They're raw kilowatt hours. The business only cares about the widgets that electricity produces, which for us means things like resolved customer support tickets, merged pull requests, or successfully processed claims. Okay, moving right along to part three, climbing the maturity ladder. So how do you actually help your product and FinOps teams translate those raw metrics all the way up the chain? Well, it's essentially a visual evolution of cost attribution across four distinct levels of business maturity. You start way down at the purely technical foundation at the bottom, and you have to climb all the way up to the strategic business value at the very top. And to be clear, this isn't just about using different buzzwords. It's about fundamentally shifting the operational focus of your entire team. Let's walk step by step up these four rungs. Step one is cost per token. This is basically just reading the meter. It's baseline survival. Step two steps it up to cost per request or session. Now, this is what engineering manages. They're bundling those raw tokens into actual user interactions. Step three is cost per workflow or feature. This is the product team's domain, where they look at the holistic cost of a user actually trying to accomplish a specific task. And finally, the top rung, step four, cost per intelligent outcome. This is the holy grail. This is what the business is actually buying. Evolving their team through these steps is literally how you achieve true tokenomics mastery. Next up, part four, good put, the true cost. Now, things get a whole lot more interesting when we start challenging this very dangerous assumption that cheaper tokens automatically equal cheaper AI. The crucial concept to grasp here is the difference between raw throughput and good put. Throughput just counts the sheer volume of tokens your system spits out. But good put measures quality. It only counts the tokens produced at the actual quality level your application needs to succeed. And this is absolutely crucial, because in the real world, AI failures cost hard dollars. Let's play out a real-world scenario. Say you decide to go with a cheap, lower-tier model to save on token costs. Sounds smart, right? But because it's less capable, it fails on, say, 30% of its tasks. Well, every single one of those failures requires a retry, a system escalation, or worse, a highly expensive human review. Suddenly, that cheap model is a massive financial liability. Once you factor in the cost of all that human intervention, a cheap model with a high failure rate is actually way more expensive than just using a premium frontier model that gets it right the first time. You always have to judge your optimizations on good put, never just on raw cost alone. And here's another thing. You've absolutely got to start treating AI tokens as your cost of goods sold, or COGS. If you're selling an AI-powered product, you should be pricing it per outcome, not per user seat. Think about it. If you charge a flat fee per seat, but you have totally unbounded AI agent usage happening under the hood, you are essentially writing an uncapped call option against your own company. Literally, one heavy user could tank your margins. That's exactly why mature teams model their token costs at the median, the P50, but they also model it way out at the 95th percentile, the P95. You have to build in that headroom for edge cases and crazy long-running agent tasks. And finally, part 5, the translation imperative. This is where the rubber meets the road. This is the exact strategy you need when you step foot in the boardroom. As a practitioner, you have to know your audience. CEOs, CROs, CFOs, they speak a highly specific language. They think in unit margins. They think in basis points, cost per booking, cost per call. I guarantee you they will never ever think in tokens. So your real product isn't some fancy dashboard of technical metrics. Your real product is your ability to flawlessly translate those technical costs into executive-level financial terms. The absolute gold standard of this translation sounds exactly like this. AI resolution costs 14 pesos per ticket against 260 pesos for human handling at equal customer satisfaction. Do you notice what's totally missing from that statement? There's zero mention of tokens, context windows, or what model you used. It just compares the AI costs directly against the human baseline, holds the quality, the CSAT score, constant, and proves a hard, undeniable business victory. That is exactly how you justify your AI budget. So I want to leave you with this final provocative thought today. Take a hard look at your own AI dashboards. Look at your internal presentations and ask yourself honestly, are you just managing your electricity bill or are you actually selling widgets? It's time to change your metrics, climb that maturity ladder, and start proving real business outcomes. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you on the next one.